Hey, welcome everybody to this week's episode of the 40 Years and 40 Beers podcast. We are very lucky to have two guests that I'm going to let my co-host Joe Massey introduce. We're very happy to have them. They are a father and son filmmaking duo. Take it away, Mass.
Yes, so Chad's an old friend of the show, but today we have his son on. So they are the 40 Years, 40 Beers first father-son duo. This young man has acted in 9 short films by the age of 20. So far, 3 of those films are a series, and he's actually been friends with his co-star since they were babies. He's a new writer. He's working on his second script. He's now starting to dabble with his first co-directing role. He's an avid wrestling fan. He loves John Cena. He enjoys reviewing movies and is on his way to becoming a cinephile. He is especially in love with the movie Fight Club. And despite being an Eagle Scout, he's currently a Seahawks fan. But we're working on that. And around here, he now has earned the name Little Devil. Ladies and gentlemen, Tristan Repko.
How's it going?
Welcome aboard, buddy.
Thank
Cheers.
You, thank you.
So you're an Eagle Scout.
I am, yeah.
Amazing. So a few things I'll say to you is I try not to let a lot of things out into the world, some certain things, but I'm ranked pretty highly. You know, I'm an OA brother. You know, I was in Unami Lodge 1. It was very, very, very big part of my life growing up. I was supposed to attend the National Jamboree one year, and I unfortunately couldn't do it because of baseball responsibilities. But yeah, it was a huge, huge part of my life growing up. You know, I'm a Brotherhood member. I never got to Vigil. Are you a Vigil holder by any chance? Or?
I am not. No,
you did not do OA.
You didn't do OA. Okay.
Just straight Eagle Scout, and then did the very cool ceremony, which actually like really emotional for some reason. I don't know, like something about that Brotherhood is like very emotional. And then, you know,
it is. No, it is. It's I didn't know that about you. That's really, really interesting. You know, I was a big we did Treasure Island a lot in the summer. We did Hart, we did Hawk Mountain, all those reserves. So, well, that's interesting. It's great to meet a fellow scout. If I could, I'd give you the handshake but you know, we're not there.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was actually really interesting that I didn't grow up in that world, right? I wasn't an Eagle Scout. I wasn't a scout at all, not an outdoors guy in any way. And when Tristan was very young, he came home from school, you know, they did the thing at school, hey, join Scouts, whatever. And he was like, yeah, let me do it. And so we're like, all right, whatever, let's do that. And we did a few. He joined in very young at, you know, Cub Scouts, very, very little. And then the leader like quit. So they needed a leader. Okay. And so I was like, okay, well, fuck it, I'll do it.
My son wants to keep doing it. Yeah,
I'll do it. So, and I did it. And I actually got to see him through very early Cub Scouts all the way through to Eagle Scout. And I was the leader the whole time, one of the leaders. And, you know, I learned probably just as much as him. Like, it was crazy going on campouts and doing all of that. So it really was. It was actually a very special thing that we did together.
Don't you?
It was great.
You have to know how to tie knots or carve wood and shit.
Like, learn, dude.
How did you become the leader without any qualifications?
You just did. It's volunteer, so it's whoever's going to do it.
It's like becoming a parent. They just hand you the baby. As long as you have a car seat, you're good to go.
It's like if you take it seriously, you kind of self-teach yourself, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Like you could learn on the job, but there was there was nobody above you checking qualifications and stuff like that.
So you were the scout master?
I have no idea what you guys are talking about at all. So, like, is this like the water buffaloes and the Flintstones?
No. So when I was pretty fortunate. A lot of our scoutmasters were former Vietnam vets. I shouldn't say that. Excuse me. They were Vietnam vets is what I should say. So to them, a lot of it was like being in the Army. And I don't mean like it was regimented, like they would make us like stand there at attention and be ridiculously disciplined. But when we went out and camped, like they taught us survival. You know, that was the cool part about when I was in. Like we used to do this.
Who taught you the dryer lint starts a fire? Because that shit didn't work.
So that was one of the scoutmasters.
It absolutely does work.
It was for some reason he can't do it. I don't know.
Okay. How do you mess that up? That's like the easiest way to start a fire.
Dog, I was collecting lint in the dryer for a month and a half. Mush is like, yeah, we got a fireplace out back. And Mush is like, put fucking dryer lint in the thing. And like an asshole, I got this Ziploc bag of dryer lint to the right of the dryer. I put a whole, like,
I just realized something.
Choke a cat. What?
You put like 4 big pieces of wood in there and then put the dryer lint in and lit the dryer lint and nothing happened.
Correct.
Mess.
What did you mean for me to do?
Have to use something called kindling because those big logs are not going to catch fire just from the dryer lint.
That was the whole point of me collecting dryer lint in a bag like a douchebag for fucking a month and a half.
So you don't have to use an accelerant that smells, but any fire that's being started still needs kindling.
If we do Naked and Afraid, I'm not on Massey's team.
No, absolutely not.
Here you go.
Absolutely not. We do have to ask Tristan one more scouting question real fast before we move on. Yeah. But if you have either the rifle shooting merit badge or the shotgun shooting merit badge, I'm going to kill you.
Actually, don't even remember. I don't think I had either of those.
If you had these, they're like the two hardest. So you have to get the rifle shooting merit badge, you have to hit 3 shots inside of a quarter.
I definitely didn't do that.
I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't that the Navy SEALs training? I'm like, how is a 13-year-old kid?
Somebody needs to outline for me what the definition of survival is for these motherfuckers.
No, it's crazy.
Is it like the mob where once you get in, you never get out? Are you guys all still actively doing this?
I'm not actively, but you can.
I still camp. I camp.
Yeah.
So the big thing is the OA. The OA is kind of lifelong. Like you can pay dues and go to meetings, and the Order of the Arrow is kind of like the secret society of scouting. So you basically get voted by your fellow scouts, and then when you're at summer camp, they have this thing called like a tap out. And I think I was telling you guys about this. Like basically your scouting buddies, your troop, they give the person your sleeping bag, and that's basically it. All right. And they go set your sleeping bag somewhere in the middle of the woods for the night. So it's this big Indian ceremony. All right. Scouting's real big on, or the OA, excuse me. Order of the Arrow is real big on Indian traditions, Indian lore. Okay. So they get dressed in like full Indian garb. They come around and they come behind you.
This is legit. I have pictures of.
Do you have a picture of yourself dressed as an Indian?
No, I was never dressed as an Indian. I got
You're not in
there. So
when they come to you,
you stand there and they walk behind you, and the next thing you know, they stop and you get 3 taps on your shoulder, and next thing you know, they pull you out of the line, and you cannot speak for the next 24 hours. All right. You cannot eat for the next 24 hours. And you have to do like 12 hours of service of hard labor.
So after the duck, duck, goose, it's like hazing in college?
Kind of. Yeah. They bring you to where your sleeping bag is, it's dark out, and they point and you sleep there, and they come get you in the morning. But you have to spend the night out in the wilderness on your own. I was lucky they put my sleeping bag right on an anthill that I found that out at about 2 a.m. in the morning. That was fabulous. But I mean, it's especially when you're like a 12 or 13 year old.
I was going to say, when I was young, I was freaked out because I was like, if I get inducted, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, this is so weird. Yeah. This almost seems like a cult at sometimes, but like, it really can freaky.
Be. When I look back at it, it's because, I mean, unless you're inducted, you have no idea what goes on.
Yeah.
Nobody talks. Like there's a different handshake. There's different bylaws. There's a different motto. There's a different creed. Everything is different from regular scouting.
I was going to ask Tristan, sometimes it depends. Like, you see like movies, kids want their parents to drop them off on the corner and stuff like that. They get embarrassed. But if you were scared at certain times, I guess, did you feel better that your pop was there with you? Or
100%. Like,
yeah.
I will be honest with you. Like, he really not like held my hand through like the entire thing, but like if I ever needed anything, he's just right there on the leadership thing. I would be like, all right, let me just go tell my dad something or ask him something.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was definitely an easier process because he was there. That's what that was.
You think you would have? Are you still doing it to this day?
I'm not currently.
Do you think you would have done it as long as you did if he wasn't there with you?
Absolutely not. There's no way.
That's cool.
Maybe like I would have went into like the Boy Scouting thing, but like there was a couple times where I was telling him like, hey man, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore, yada yada. But he said he always kept me going and kept motivating me to keep getting my Eagle Scout badge.
It opens doors.
What's the difference between boy and eagle?
No,
yeah. There's not a lot of Eagle Scouts. I mean, it's a rare.
Definitely draws eyes to a resume. On a resume.
What's the difference between boy and eagle?
Eagle Scout's the highest rank you can attain.
Yeah, you complete it,
and it's
not easy.
And I could be wrong. I want to say like 10% of scouts, and there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of ever get to that point.
Yeah,
you have to earn a certain amount of merit badges. You have to do a community service project. It's not like a day project. Like it could take a month, 2 months, 3 months. depending on what you're building. A lot of people build things for like churches or for schools.
Do you guys sell
amazing to
snacks
see.
like the Girl Scouts?
Popcorn and other random.
Oh,
we,
I remember
weren't big.
buying the popcorn from you guys. It's at work. Yeah.
I mean,
We
our
did
troop
cheesecake
wasn't big
fundraisers.
with it. Yeah.
And then
I
you
mean,
pay
like-
dues. Like once a month, you'd pay like $5 to the troop, and they would, escrow that money. And then when you went on camping trips, like that bought all the food. Or depending on like our troop, like I said about survivalists, we were real big on the scoutmasters didn't cook for us. We brought our own food. So they taught us basically about like what I would do is that's when I learned about Ziploc bag cooking. All right. So instead of trying to fool around with a fire at 11, 12 years old, I would pre-cook all my meals, put them in the Ziploc bag, freeze them. And then at the campsite, all I had to do was boil water and drop the Ziploc bags in the water.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
but
It's interesting that they, from my perspective, watching the kids, and I wanted all of the kids to get Eagle Scout, right? I wanted to move forward, but just to watch them literally be on your own. As parents, it's a tough line between like telling them what to do and showing them what to do, and then watching them actually do the correct stuff, right?
Yep.
And on these camping trips, and I'm not even kidding, like a kid would hurt himself, and Tristan would, out of the blue, just perform first aid, right? And do all of these things where, you're just like, shit, like they're like, you're actually watching them become, like men and whatever. And it's
Young
a
adults,
strange,
yeah.
it's a strange thing to witness, but it's the coolest thing ever.
Well, it's funny you say that. I mean, to this day, I am not an EMT. I'm not a paramedic. But if I was ever at a car accident scene, I know for a fact, just from all my years of scouting, that from the first aid training, that I know that I could prevent that person from going into shock. I would know how to go through the first 3 steps of triage. Like, I could probably keep them calm and do the first 1 or 2 things until the paramedics got there. Because what is first aid? Anybody know the definition? Mass, wait do you hear it? It's the easiest thing in the world. The definition of first aid is aid that is given first.
There you go.
That's crazy. So if you have boy and eagle for men, do you have girl and like Phoenix for women?
That I do not know.
I don't know anything about the Girl
No
Scouts,
idea.
but girls are actually allowed to join Boy Scouts now.
You
so
guys
it's a
never
totally
got
different
together
world.
for like a party or something?
It's
Nope.
a completely different
Totally
organization.
different thing.
My God.
They don't intermingle very often, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
All right. So what was the craziest shit you ever did as an Eagle Scout, Tristan?
That I ever did.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was I ever did, but there was an experience at a camp. My dad knows this very well. It was like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. at summer camp, and it was the biggest thunderstorm I think I've ever experienced. It was
2 different thunderstorms.
really okay. Like our campsite is at the bottom of the hill, the complete bottom of the campsite. So we just got flooded immediately. There was trees falling on other kids' like camp tents, and I'm like, we're about to go. This is the last time on Earth.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is what we're doing. It was crazy.
How
It
old
was
were you at
insane.
this point?
16, maybe 15. Around there.
Yeah. See,
That was a
mine
rough
was
night.
we
That
used
was
to,
really rough.
and you guys, I mean, it's a thing in scouting, but not everybody does it. We used to do the 50 miler, the 50-mile hike. And that was like something you got a badge for to put on like your uniform. It was like, I don't know if you guys remember the mile swim that they always had at every summer camp. You could always try to do that. I did that once too. Yeah, that was a nightmare. But
Yeah, that sounds like a
the
nightmare.
50 miler, we went away for 7 days. We went up to, I want to say, was it Williamsport? We were somewhere around there. And we would go out 10 miles a day, 5 days in a row, but you go different directions. You go 5 miles out, 5 miles back. And I remember the one day is when we found out. Remember Jerome Brown from the Eagles who died? He was the defensive lineman.
99.
Yes, I remember that we found out he died on one of the hiking trails.
I thought you were going to say you found.
We were walking. down
Y'all
one
wanna
of
see
these
a dead body?
trails up in like the Williamsport area. It was actually
Oh,
like
wow.
a road, but there were woods on each side. So we decided just to walk on the side of the road to pick up more time. And a guy comes by. He's like, "Hey, where are you guys from?" And we tell him Philadelphia. He's like, "Hey, you're not going to believe this. Jerome Brown just died." Yeah, so I'll always remember that. Like,
Wow. I'm like guessing your age because that was what, like 1990, 1989?
82. I was probably 10 years
92?
old, 10, 11 years
Yeah.
old. So 10, 11 years old, and I walked 50 miles in a week.
Yeah.
And I remember coming back
Let's
to
do it
the
this weekend.
coming back to the campsite. You'd get there back at like 4:30. You'd eat dinner, and every night you'd be out cold at like 6:15.
Yeah,
That's
I've never
crazy.
walked as much in my life. Like when I went to summer camp with Tristan, it was no joke. I was definitely the thinnest I've ever been. That
Yeah.
was some healthy.
Your dad was thin with a full head of hair when I met him 20 years ago, cuz he was probably in the prime of his fucking Eagle Scout mastery.
Yeah, probably.
7? Were you guys still doing it in 07?
I don't think we started. No, we didn't. No, we didn't start it then. Tristan was,
I was 3
years old. He was 3 years old.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Similar to how you had a better experience with that, with your dad there, and him being around kept you around longer. So do you have that same perspective on acting in his films and now trying to do these things on your own? Like, obviously, when you're a baby, he pulls you in. He's like, I need somebody for the film. But as you got older, it was intentional, right? So do you think working in a movie theater, working on scripts, being in the films, do you think that you would have gravitated towards all that if it wasn't for your dad as well?
Definitely not. I don't think so at all, because like I said, like he just pulled me in off of like, hey, let's just do this one thing because you're cheap, I got you, you're free, let's do this.
Yeah.
But and then it was definitely like different moments. Like in high school, there was a class for filmmaking, which I really loved. There was a merit badge in scouting that was filmmaking that I really loved. And then just like watching movies with him that I really loved. It was just a whole culmination. And then obviously he has the knowledge of movies because he went to school for that. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to use him because he knows everything. And then it was just easy like that because he's right there.
Well, what's funny is I think that's how a lot of things happen, right? Like, so unfortunately, my father was a steam fitter. That's what he loved in life. And he was an HVAC guy. And he was a steam fitter. Yeah, from 420, union guy. I didn't follow in his footsteps, but growing up, he loved Notre Dame football when I was a kid. And it's just something I saw him love. So I automatically loved it too. Right. I think that happens a lot in life where if something your father or your mother or whatever is passionate about, you kind of have a tendency to become passionate about that as well. It's a little bit easier for that to happen. Right.
It is.
Or master that thing to make them proud. Yeah.
You know what's weird? Here's a weird actual thing, too, that I didn't push on Tristan, but all of a sudden he became a fan of. So I grew up with wrestling, pro wrestling. Fake wrestling, whatever you want to call it. My father showed that to me.
We'll call it
entertainment, and I mean like old school NWA, Mid South to Territories, not even current what we know. And that's how I grew up, and I loved it. And I never showed Tristan that or did anything with Tristan. And all of a sudden, Tristan comes home from like school and he's a fan. He's like, "Let's watch wrestling," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then like all of a sudden, so it's a weird. I think you're right. Like, yes, I definitely, hey, look at this rather than other things that affected him. But in a weird way, there's some also strange DNA, like, I don't know, mysterious.
Yeah. You both enjoyed it separately
stuff,
and then you came together. Yeah.
Connective things that do happen.
Wrestling was
but
big
it's also
when
a
we
great
were kids.
thing when it happens, right, Chad? Like,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a
I
great
have somebody to talk to. Especially at my age when, you get to a certain age where you can't talk to many people about things because, for whatever reason, friends go away or people are gone, whatever.
Lack of interest in that thing, whatever it is. Yeah.
Like,
it's always great that you have somebody to just bounce. We would watch, wrestling together. And so he's getting older. So things are different now where, he's away, he's on his own thing, but during WrestleMania, which just happened this past weekend, we were texting each other the whole time. During WrestleMania. So it's like we were watching it together, but we weren't really together.
Not really.
So it's when you have that, I think it's just a great,
I can't wait to tell Tristan about blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? As it relates to wrestling.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
like, this year, my son, Nick, he's 15 and he's become a really big Notre Dame fan. And Notre Dame made it to the national championship this year. Well, the semifinal, they beat Penn State, and it was like so they won with 12 seconds left, and him and I hugged, and I've never felt him hug me that way, and it brought me back to the way my father and I embraced one store at a huge Notre Dame, and it was so overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
That I almost cried. I actually sent somebody a text about it. I was like, yeah, you know what? Me and Nick just hugged during the Notre Dame game because the guy I sent a text to was a big Notre Dame fan. And I was like, God, I got really overwhelmed because I brought me back to a time where my father and I were hugging when they won a game.
Yeah. And I think I feel that way with film. Any experience that me and Tristan had with film, other than making it, is amazing. I think we both cried. Me and Tristan, I think, both teared up. We just watched Love Actually not that long ago, the Christmas Love Actually movie, and I think we both teared up like, yes. And I think those moments are always fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, you and Tristan have obviously, he's been acting in your films since he's been quite young, and now he's transitioned into making films. I'm assuming that you're helping in this endeavor.
Oh yeah.
What are some of the challenges? We just talked about, what some of the benefits are about being able to hang out with your son all the time and being able to bounce ideas off him. The fact that, he's interested in the same things you are. Just like anything, Tristan's probably a strong-minded individual. And I know from speaking with you, you're a pretty strong-minded individual. What are some of the challenges of trying to come together and create a film?
I think it's time is mostly it. Time is definitely the biggest challenge of all. Tristan works, I work. Nobody's paying us $2 million to go make this movie where we can just do it. So time is absolutely the worst aspect of it. Creatively, I don't know. I am more taking a back seat to this particular piece that we're doing because it really wasn't supposed to happen at all. Tristan really kind of championed it, and Tristan came to me with, which is funny, almost studio-like, right? Like he sort of did it studio way and say, let me send you the script that I'm working on. And if you like it, we should do it. And
he's not Warner Brothers, cuz. You could have just said.
Well, I know, he could have just said we're doing it. I'm like, fine. But he was like, let me send you the script. He sent me the script and I read it. Well, fuck yeah, this was good. So it was good. And it really brought all of the elements that needed to come together for this particular series to have a fourth part of it. So now it's the big challenge, right? Now, here we have this very aggressive, very large script with a lot of people and a lot of elements that need to happen. And now the challenge is me and him have to be on the same page every day to make that happen within, 8 months.
Now, let me ask you a question, because I think this will be great for our listeners and followers to understand. Tristan and Chad are what can be best known as short filmmakers right now, correct? Am I wrong in that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
So I think it will be great for people, because I don't think many people understand how riveting short films can be and how much work goes into them.
Yes.
When you say a lot of pages, obviously a feature film can be 150 pages, right? 200 pages of a script. And a general short film, how many pages is a script? So let's say a standard short film.
So the general rule in screenwriting in any aspect is a minute a page. Every minute of screenwriting page is a minute of the film in general.
Even
now that includes
regular feature films, not just short.
And in feature films, in any film whatsoever. And honestly,
now that's not just dialogue, correct? So for example, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in screenplay writing, but I do know for the most part that you do set the scene. Like trees
how the
blowing
shot
in
is
the
framed,
wind, as camera fades away, and is that included in that minute of?
So there's two different scripts. There's the script itself, and then there's the shooting script. The shooting script will have camera angles and whatever.
So the non-shooting version is a minute per.
Is a minute per page, which is just the action. Tristan walks into this bar. Here's the dialogue. That's a minute a page in any film ever, 100% of the time. Now, Hollywood movies or big budget movies.
Well, let's call them features, because even an independent film, right, can be. So we'll call it a feature
movies.
Film.
Feature movies follow a 3-act play. Every single one. Any one that you've ever seen ever is 3-act. And you can do this. I to all the listeners, do this at home. The first act, which is generally for screenwriting when the main character needs to make the decision whether he's going to do what he needs to do or not, right? So the main character is either going to help save the world or do whatever they need to do, find the girl, blah, blah, blah. 20 minutes in. The first act always ends on the 20th page of the screenplay, no matter what.
But how do you get everyone across the world to adhere to this?
Do this at home. Any movie ever. Go to minute 20 of that movie. 100%. It's when the main character has to make that decision.
It's when he has his epiphany, so to speak.
When he's like, yes, John McClane in Die Hard has to save this building or whatever. Henry Hill has to do something in Goodfellas. Go to 20 minutes of any movie ever.
So that's a
20 to
standard.
25. It's within it's standard. 20 to 25 minutes.
So then your
Any
second
movie
and
ever.
third act then don't adhere to any timing standard.
No, they're a little bit different, right? That could change. Like, the second act is then the tough part. That's when shit goes down. The hero gets beaten down.
Character
And
building.
the third act is obviously where
The
he
conclusion.
prevails. So, but 100%. So now let's take a short film. That's
Please.
totally different. There is no 90 minutes, 120 pages. That 3-act is way shorter. So you just adhere to the minute on the page. So I think the one that Tristan wrote is 18 minutes. I think something like that. So
Which
it's
in my
probably about a
experience,
20-minute.
which in
20
my
minutes.
experience, it would be a pretty long short film.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the longest one that we've done so far. I think Harvest, which is right now is out, was 12 minutes, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. So that's sort of the weird difference. You don't necessarily follow the 3 acts. It's more of a really accelerated.
That makes sense.
But you're
I
still
understand.
having that same. There's a dilemma. There's a decision. There's an arc. There's a conclusion. You still have that same cycle, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's storytelling 101. Every play is a 3-act. Everything that you read, every book is 3 acts.
So
Absolutely.
just so you know, just like Christopher Moltisanti, our friend Massey here is still wondering where his arc is. Where's his arc? for that?
Noah had an arc. I wonder what happens to Michael Corleone in minute 20. I'm going to go check that out. I'll get back to you.
So you know what?
I'm going to tell you right now.
Godfather. Hold on. Let me see if I can guess it. So this is Godfather?
Godfather 1.
Minute 20. All right. So it starts at the wedding, correct?
Because Rod Digger was not in 8 Mile, so you're 0 for 1 right now, cuz you're 0 for 2.
I actually looked it up last night because I was like, maybe I was just wrong about the scene. And yeah, she's not in it. But
yeah.
I'm trying to think. Minute 20. Is minute 20 when he meets Luca Brasi?
No, not Michael. Michael never actually meets
No. I'm
Luca
talking about
on
minute
film.
20 of the movie.
But
what happens
Michael is
in
who
minute
the
20?
movie's about.
I think minute 20 is when Vito meets.
It has to be. I don't know what it is.
But
It's a
between
very
20
long
and
movie,
25
so
minutes.
between 20 and 25 minutes, there has to be a moment where Michael realizes that he has
Taking
to take
over the
for
family.
I don't think it's obviously not when he shoots the cop, but at some point he has to realize nobody else can fucking do this.
Yeah, I'm the best suited for this
at
role.
20,
Yeah.
25 minutes, I guarantee.
All right. I'm
I'm
picking
going to
up
do this with a lot of
We'll see.
movies. I'm going to do this with a lot of movies.
You can do it with every single one. I'm not even kidding.
Tristan,
Tristan,
maybe you can come over and watch it with me. You've never seen The Godfather before, right?
I've never seen The Godfather, unfortunately.
We got to put
That's
this
the one-
out there.
I know that's the one thing.
You
We've
know,
watched a lot of movies.
Your
We've
cinephile
If it wasn't-
title is
I
now
know.
suspect.
Yeah, you're about
Very
to lose
early,
your card.
early
You're about to
stages,
lose
early
your
stages.
card and your flag. If it wasn't for the fact that your dad stuck with you through the Eagle Scouts, we would have definitely said he failed you. But he's doing all right. We'll let this one slide.
I watched 3 different movies, 3 different genres, 3 different classics from 3 different decades. And everything the devil's saying is 100% accurate. Godfather 1, right around the 19 and a half minute mark. Michael is out front at the wedding with Kay at the table, and he's telling her about Luca Brasi and how horrible he is. And he says to her, "That's my family, it's not me," which is the first lie in a series of lies throughout the trilogy. I say this all the time, but The Bear's not about cooking. Sopranos and Godfather were not about the mafia. That was just the background thread. The whole series is really about him lying to his wife, losing his family. And, that's the start of it. And that's the end of Act 1. And even later, he realizes that he's the only one suited to take over in his father's footsteps. That in 5 years, we're going to be completely legit, all that stuff. I watched Friday, 1995. So Smokey is a strong runner-up. Craig's obviously the main character. But Smokey's decision at 19 and a half minutes to not pay back Big Worm when they're sitting in his bedroom, that starts the ticking time bomb. That sets up the whole rest of the movie, because without that, it doesn't matter that him and Craig smoked. And when Worm pulls up in the ice cream truck, he's not able to tell him that we smoked up all your weed and we don't have the money, right? He gives him till 10 p.m. and then he sends the guys around to do a drive-by. So that was really the end of Act 1 and really a turning point in both main characters, setting them up for Acts 2 and 3. I watched Die Hard 1. And again, 20 minutes in, he's remembered what the guy told him about making fists with your toes and how it helps you relax. That's why he has no shoes for the rest of the movie. But right then and there is when they shoot up the plaza, and he sees these guys for the first time and realizes that he's the only one who could handle this. And again, end of Act 1, major decision for John McClane, and sets up the rest of the movie.
Give me your top most favorite thing you admire about your dad's work, and the one thing you hate the most.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So the thing that I love is probably the hardest. So I'm gonna go with the one I hate the most first. I have.
Hold on, before you speak, does he know the answer already?
I don't think so at all. I don't think we've talked about this at all.
No clue.
Okay. The thing that I do hate the most, and it's not like hate, but like I wish that he tried to make it as perfect as he can. He's such a guy that's like, okay, I want to get this out as quickly as possible. I'm more of the type where I want it to be as perfect and as like seamless as possible. Like he's a very like a cheapskate, like he will make it as cheap as possible. But if you just spend that extra couple of dollars, I think you make it even better if you just pushed it a little bit more.
Well, there's two foods of thought there, right? Like, Massey and I are obviously in the content world, and we believe that, yes, obviously you have to get as much content out there as possible, right? You want to be as visible as possible. You want people to see you all the time. But if you're putting bad content out there, doesn't benefit anybody. Not saying that you're putting bad content. I don't mean that.
No, right.
What I basically mean is, sometimes you can try to over perfect it, right? Or sometimes, that could be you, Tristan. You're trying to over perfect the film or the project. Chad says, you know what? Sometimes if you try to, make things too perfect, you kind of ruin it. Yeah. Right.
And
that's true.
I do have a comeback for that, but I'll wait to hear the stuff that he likes.
I was going to say, so as your dad, all the money that goes into the film doesn't go to you. That's number one. Number two, I'd have to imagine that 25 years working with him at the same place has damaged our souls to the point where we've literally been told, don't let great get in the way of good.
Correct.
Right? There's this big 80-20 rule, all that kind of shit. So like, you do have to, especially like even making music, you can always make it better. But you're constantly torn between going back to I should have said this, I should have did that, I should have made the alien look a little more realistic. Did the needle that came down in Harvest, was it realistic? All those kinds of things. But okay, so that's fair enough. So it's not pride in the craft. It's spending more financially on the details and special effects piece. Then
that was like one like little example. It's just there's a couple of times where I'm like, he's rushing this really hard to get it out. Like, oh, we need to get this out by a certain time. And there's deadlines that need to happen. But there's also a certain thing where I'm like, if we make this look a little bit better, I feel like it would look like not professional, but like in a way that's the
because
film
what he's capable of. Yeah,
exactly. That's really what it is.
All right. So Big Devil, Little Devil spoke. Now it's Big Devil's turn.
He's 100% right, and my wife will also say the same thing. It's 100% true. Here's the problem: when I do have these things in my head, it is so obsessive that it needs to get out. Now, the problem that we have is at this time and at the stage, and we're not paying a lot of people, so we have to. We're on the whims.
We're not paying a lot, which means somebody's getting paid. I'm going to remember
that. It's not me.
It's not you. But we don't have a lot of time to do these things. So if we need somebody, we have to get them while we have them. Because as a filmmaker for well over, I've been a filmmaker since the 90s. And I understand that there have been so many projects that started that never even got anywhere. Because at some point, we were just like, oh, we can't get together. Okay, well, then the weeks go by and you're like, fuck it, never mind. So my obsession, and I'm not even kidding, when I get into a project, which is why I'm hesitant to even do projects, is I obsess over it. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking, fuck, where are we going to film this? How are we going to do this? What are we going to do? And that's so trying on me that I just want to get it out.
Yeah.
So let's do it. And for the first 4, 5, 6 films, whatever, it was absolutely that way. It was, okay, I got this idea, let's do it. They started to be successful. So, in the film festival world. So I'm just like, all right, let's do it. Once I have the idea, let's purge it. And Tristan's right though. What we learned on Harvest, which we just did, which took, 8-9 months to complete, honestly. We slowed down. We sped up really quick. And then we were like, hold on, let's do this. Let's do that. Maybe we can film when we're on vacation, right? Which we did. So we slowed it down a little bit more, which is great. And actually, I thought it would turn out fantastic. So we're working on 2 projects right now. And this Little Detectives that Tristan wrote is going to take a lot of time. I'm going to rush a little bit of it, but I'm also learning at the same time, even again, as Tristan said, like let's slow it down. Let's, really think this through. And by the way, spending money, I've already spent a lot of money on Little Detectives currently.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, the props alone are going to be ridiculous.
Wow.
And also our second, so the other film that we're working on, that's about ready to start what they call principal photography, which is filming.
Oh, this sounds like it might be in the adult film world.
Well, it's not.
I was going to say, if you need a PA, I'm in.
He's dropping industry terms on us right now.
It is rated, but like there's going to be some special effects, some gore and blood. We're slitting somebody's throat on film.
Wait, that's R, and it's not just nudity?
No, I don't know. They don't rate. I'm assuming if you slit somebody's throat, somebody's going to be like, you should.
Is this your first R?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, knowing your personal history, because I got to ask the question.
I'm sure the standards now are different, but back in the day, a lot of blood meant.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They
made Martin Scorsese saturate the red blood in Taxi Driver in order to get it to an R rating. It would have been an X.
Yeah, it was too thick. It was too thick, like real blood. Now, Tristan, we heard about what I guess.
He didn't say his favorite. What is favorite?
Yeah.
We heard about what irks you with
He's 100% right.
He is.
I will say he is absolutely 100% right. I do need to be checked and be like, hey, let's think this through before doing something.
Because I understand
100%.
Time management of the cast,
which is
once
hard.
You have the film, once the actors and actresses are out of the picture, and you have that in final rough draft on your computer, I think that's also part of what he's talking about. That's when there's no time limit anymore. Because isn't it better to wait until next year's festival and make it perfect versus get it into this year's festival and make it?
I think once we get to the editing, we're fine. I don't necessarily think I rush editing at all. First of all, because we have to learn how to use it or how to do it. But I think literally the cast part is you. And by the way, you're going to find this out. So we're going to have you for a day. Let's say we only have you for 2 hours. And we need to film you. That 2 hours goes quick.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to be 100% ready. We have to do it. And there are times we might not even get it within those 2 hours, which means we're going to have to schedule a whole nother thing. Right. And that's where it gets complicated. That's where I get nervous. And, that's where I'm like, okay, fuck it. Let's do. And that I think is where then it affects the product. You know what I mean?
Is he going to be yelling at me? Tristan, is he going to be yelling at me when I get
out? He's going to be ruthless.
Well, I don't want to catch a smack in the mouth or nothing.
We're hearing nothing but negatives about what you don't like. Here. What is it that you love and that what has pretty much guided you into attempting this venture?
Yeah.
I think the number one thing is at least for me, he's my number one supporter. So like he'll text me all the time, be like, yo, check out this movie, blah, 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 blah. You need to watch it, watch this specific, not even the movie, just this specific scene.
The shot.
To get you to understand what we're doing with our movie. He's so supportive and not like hounding supportive, like he's overly supportive to the point where it makes me like motivate myself to do more movies.
Excited. Yeah.
He's always on top of everything that I do with myself.
Well, here's great about this. I mean, and I don't know if you guys had this type of relationship, but I think it's normal for any teenager from ages like 14 to 19, even if you have a really good relationship with your parents, I feel like your relationship usually improves once you hit that 21, 22 age.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like
the older you get, the better, for sure. 100%.
Yes. Like my father and I, we always butted heads forever. And then all of a sudden I was 21, 22. I was working, I was an adult at that point. We both probably worried about the same things, kind of, in a way. And we started to have the best relationship we ever had. We had similar interests. We were both looking at life through the same lens. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know if I don't know what he's gonna say about this, but I don't think we've ever really had that we don't like different things, yada yada. But I feel like we've always been on the same page with a lot of stuff. Interest wise,
necessarily butt heads. Of course, as a father, I'm like,
father son,
you gotta do some shit, and he's like, Dad, shut up.
Yeah.
I get it. Like there absolutely was. I don't think there was necessarily butting heads.
But you know what I mean? Like right now, even on the film set, the butting heads situation, it's really not a father-son thing anymore. It's two peers.
Co-workers,
Right?
This will
Not
be
even co-workers. I would just say peers who have the same interest, who are now, bouncing ideas off each other. They may not agree all the time. Your conversations are different, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This will be the first time when we do the new Little Detectives. It will be the first time that we really are doing it together. This is his idea.
All right, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about, Tristan's debut, right? That's what we're going to call it. It's his directorial debut, correct?
Yeah.
His directorial debut, name of the film. Am I allowed to say this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lil Detectives, A Dish Best Served Cold. How is that going for you? How is the whole, the whole experience? Do you have anxiety over it? Is it just one of the best days of your life that you're finally in this experience on your own?
Right now, the process is going very easy, steady. We're in the very, very, very early stages of the product. Everything's pretty much done script wise. We're, finding out the details, but it's fun. I mean, I always like doing this. When he was doing the original Little Detectives movies, I was never really a part of the script wise. I would always try to change my lines when I'm acting because, I could have done a little bit better. But now I actually have the script itself. I pretty much made the script. He just formatted it correctly for me. But I mean, yeah, it's very fun. I wouldn't say this is anxiety inducing. It's always for my first one, I'm not gonna super overly stress. Yeah, super overly stress over it. But yeah,
and I think he's crazy because I'm stressing my ass off.
I think it's good to
have
yin versus yang dynamic, right?
Well,
is he lacking the understanding of the behind the scenes? Like he said, this is his first time behind the scenes. Okay,
he is not. He literally was location scouting yesterday. I mean, he's on point with this. I'm not. He's right on point.
Now,
I just understand. I don't want anything. I know what can go wrong is going to go wrong, right? So I'm trying to avoid that ahead of time. So that's where my anxiety comes from.
Now, one thing I think our listeners would love as well, our listeners and followers, to realize that even though this is Tristan's directorial debut, this is actually the fourth film in the series.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about how this is the fourth film and how they all kind of interconnect.
So we'll go back to the very start, which I'm 2016, I guess
around
it
there.
was.
I will say we did kind of film 15, 16, and then we stopped that one and refilmed all of it because we had a new camera. And the old camera looked not that great. We got a new camera, refilmed pretty much everything from that original one.
So far, this is a 10-year series.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Think about that. Think about where it started and where it is now in 10 years.
Film. So how it was, I wasn't doing film for a very long time in my life. My wife realized how, I was like, shit, I want to make movies again. So she bought me a camera. She actually got a camera from a friend of hers. She didn't buy it or whatever. We had a camera. And I did a few short pieces, which were more like poetry pieces because I was really into writing poetry at the time. So it was like these music video things that we did. And that actually won an award, oddly enough, in a festival. Then I'm like, okay, shit, let's do it. At the time, we wrote a very serious, racially charged short film that we were going to film.
Who's we?
Me and my wife. That was me.
Okay.
As a group, as a family, I'm like, look, we got to do.
We're not going to have to delete this later, right? It's not going to be a KKK.
No. It was a very the idea. It's called a talk about, which is a play on a walkabout, right? You go on a walkabout. So this
in Australia,
and it's in Australia. This is the whole idea is a group of people in a hospital waiting room. And they're all there for very different reasons, but one's black, one's woman, one's a racist, and they start talking to each other. Hey, we're all going to die, place in the hospital type thing. And it was supposed to be really powerful and whatever, but it didn't turn out.
No jokes aside, I actually really do like this short film. I don't know what it is about it. There's a vibe with it that's very almost his best piece if it was made better. The dialogue is so good.
There we go. We go to the rushing it out again, Chad. There we go.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, it was a lot. Actually, when we filmed that day, I had 102 temperature. I was sick, but it was supposed to be. What I was really working. It didn't make it that way. It didn't come out that the way it was supposed to. But while we were filming it, just to test the equipment that we bought, because then we bought new equipment, which was like a Nikon DSLR camera. And just to test the equipment to be like, hey, let's do something. I was a huge fan of the very first season of True Detectives.
Ugh, one of my favorite shows ever.
I fucking loved it. And I'm like, what if we did that with little kids? So I took Tristan and his best friend, and they were best friends from 1 year old. And his best friend's father and me are really good friends. So I'm like, let's do this Little Detectives thing. And we did it, and that somehow then got into all the festivals. And the other one didn't. Like the Talk About didn't at all. And this one did. Wow. So I'm like, okay, well, fuck. And at the time, then we went to, I think it was the Ocean City Film Festival, which is Ocean City, Maryland Film Festival, which is where, for whatever reason, did super well. And I mean, like, people loved it, like where they want to talk to you, which never happens at film festivals. And so we're like, okay, well, then let's do a second one. At the time, we really loved a local group called Chestnut Grove. They're actually really, really good, and they're famous. They've done world tours all over the country. They've been, somewhat one of the local people who can really make it as a band. But they let us use our music, or let us use their music. So we were like, okay, let's get her, their lead singer, who's a very great D, into the next one. And she's like, yeah, absolutely. And they, that was great. And then so that film got into a bunch of film festivals. And the second one was called A Case of Kashmir. So it had a Led Zeppelin feel to it. And that started getting the film festival and winning awards too. So, we're like, okay, well, shit, no matter what else we do in between, we've always done films in between. But like Little Detectives has always kept kind of coming up, and people always wanted to see it again. We got into the Ocean City, Maryland Film Festival. One of the greatest moments, at least for me, we go there opening night, Ocean City Film Festival, and we're just there at the bar, their opening ceremony, whatever that was. And people literally come up to Tristan, people we don't even know, and they're like, hey, you're from Little Detectives. And like they start talking to him, and it's such an interesting vibe.
I'm sure it is.
So we did that. So then, then we did a few other films. We did Alone in between there. And then we did what we call a Toy Too Far. That was the third supposedly final, the end of the trilogy. And we went big with that. It was a longer film. Again, we had another villain. We did a bunch of other stuff in that film. And that actually got on Amazon Prime. There was at the time, Amazon Prime had a short film section where you can, apply, and then you had to do the, the closed circuit or closed caption stuff for it and send it in. And so it got accepted to Amazon Prime, and it was on Amazon Prime for a year, I think 2019 to 2020. And that got all over. I mean, that literally went to a film festival in Israel. It went all over. And in fact, the
did you travel there?
No. Oh God,
I was going to say.
So we have a lot more even than this. I need an updated poster, but it went all over.
So let me ask you a question. If you guys were to look at Joe Massey, if you were to look at Massey right now and say, what celebrity or actor does he look like?
The Bob's Furniture guy.
No.
I would.
Yeah.
Are you guys nuts? He looks just like Vince Vaughn.
With hair.
Oh, no, I know the Vince Vaughn.
Hair and without a goatee, I look like Vince Vaughn. But with a shaved head and a goatee.
I thought he looked like a skinny version of like Fluffy the comedian a little bit.
So that's funny you say that. Oh my God.
Identical to Fluffy. I have a reel. I'll have to send it to you. I have a reel of me and Fluffy side by side. I didn't even stage the pictures. They were just pictures I pulled from my camera roll and pictures of him I took offline. He looks like my father. Identical. Okay. It's crazy.
Okay, we got a
The funny thing is, Vince Vaughn is also in True Detectives.
He is, which that one was horrible.
He's going to be in Little Detectives.
So
that was a bad one. That was a bad season.
Devil, we'll set this up for like a couple weeks from now, but I can do a whole 3 hours on season 1 of True Detective.
I could too. Oh my God,
no problem.
That's
I wasn't crazy about it. After Woody Harrelson was banging "What's the Name" on the couch, I lost interest.
No,
after that.
Are you crazy?
Are you
Matthew McConaughey?
That would pull me in.
That might be.
Wait, was it Woody Harrelson
and Matthew McConaughey?
Alejandra.
I forget. I don't know what her name is. I just remember
the
her
broad.
body.
Yeah,
the girl with the flotation devices.
Yeah. She's beautiful.
Yeah. After that, I'm like,
Rust Cole
Rust Cole
might be the greatest character in television.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
agree.
another topic.
I
We can
agree.
discuss that. Who were the
Are you
greatest?
saying I gotta go? Are you saying I gotta go back and start this over again?
No, we're good.
Yeah.
Ready? Hold on.
No, I'm talking about me watching
The
the
movie.
series because
The
True
series.
Detectives.
Yes. So season 1, I've watched it like
Yeah.
7 different times.
Season 1 was the greatest. Like I'm thinking that was the genesis of Little Detectives.
Yeah.
And Ethan's character, Tristan's friend, is more the Rust Cole. If you watch the dialogue in Little Detectives, he's more dark.
He's always
a
quoting
darker, right,
Socrates and shit. Yeah.
some weird stuff. He's a dark person. Tristan is probably more the Woody Harrelson rough.
He had a
Now
wife.
in this next one, it probably will change a little bit more. I think Tristan.
So Tristan's actually doing double duty here, correct? He's acting and he's directing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Double duty.
So this is so you're basically George Clooney. You just don't know it yet.
Exactly.
You know, I
I am
think
George Clooney.
you are. I
He's a
see
little
it.
better. He's a little better looking than George Clooney, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Listen, Christian, I love you, but George is a good-looking cat.
Thank you.
But I think Tristan. So and then we were done, right? So a Toy Two
Excuse me.
came out.
Continue. I'll be right back.
It was going on. You know, it did very well in the film festival, and then we were done. COVID happened, so we didn't really do much at all. We bought a ridiculously expensive camera. Didn't do anything with it until we started to do Harvest. So then Harvest was our very next film.
Well, also real quick, there was like a teaser though, right? For the
we started
right,
yes,
right before COVID happened. I believe like January, December, leading into COVID, we filmed like a very, very short sneak peek for a
fourth
concept of a fourth movie that after COVID that just went away and no one really
they did kill anything, and then they got older, right? So it didn't make sense. You know, Tristan's 20 years old, so Little Detectives didn't make sense, and it was done, right? We just had the little teaser for the fourth, and like we were fine with it. At least I was, and you know, we moved on. We did another sci-fi movie, Harvest, and then we plotted a few horror movies that's in the works. One we're filming now. And that was it. We had no concept of doing another Little Detectives. I don't know what happened. But I'll be honest. I think this is what happened. And Tristan, actually, this is a question for you because I don't know the real answer here. So this past summer, we got into the Ocean City Film Festival again, Ocean City, Maryland Film Festival with Harvest. We went down there just a few months ago, and again. It's the same people, right? That we've loved, we've seen a few times. They know us, we know them, these filmmakers. And Tristan started talking to them, right? Tristan had a great time at the film festival talking to other filmmakers. When we got back from the Ocean City, Maryland Film Festival, he was like, "Hey, let me send you the script for the new Little Detectives." And I'm like, "What? Okay." And I think that has something to do with it. There's such energy. We have so much energy at Ocean City, Maryland Film Festival. And those people there, and in the town itself, because that's where my family's from. So we have a lot of, you know,
you get hyped up to keep it going. It's momentum.
And somehow Tristan got with the filmmakers down there, and I don't know, it inspired something where he's like, "Fuck it, we're gonna do it." And the script he really brought, he brought them all. He's going through film 1 to 3 to 4, like.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's involved. We're bringing a lot of people back.
Everyone who's still alive, even
everybody's still alive. He did the, we did
friends of the people that passed. I thought it's awesome.
That is cool.
There's a lot going on, and we did the reveal, much like Marvel did the reveal for
Doomsday,
the new Avengers movie. So we were like, all right, let's do this. And it was all his idea. Again, very little idea. More now.
I would say the thing that there's a couple of different things that were sparking in me. So I work at a movie theater, and obviously just through the grapevine, I show people the short films I do, and everyone's like coming up to me. One of the managers were like, he's very into film, and he always make fun of when old franchises do like a legacy sequel because, you know, for some reason they got to keep the money going. And he was like, you should do a legacy sequel of Little Detectives. I was like, I'll think about it. And then again, when we went to the Ocean City, Maryland Film Festival, I just talked to all these people, and a couple of them were like, "Oh yeah, got some Little Detectives." I'm like, people seem to really like Little Detectives.
Well, there's a buzz.
I think we should,
right? Yeah,
maybe if I write a good enough script and the originator who created Little Detectives will like it, maybe we do a fourth one. And
it has to be this way. Like, there's no way I couldn't have written a fourth Little Detectives. Tristan's script is good.
Yeah.
is the way it needs to happen. And he really threw in a lot of other cinephile moments and things.
References, yeah.
It's actually less funny,
Well, here's
but
the thing,
more
too.
important, I think.
What are you done with? Do you feel like after this one you're done with this series? But I mean, I think that might be the case. But are you interested in trying to breathe life back into some of the other films that you guys have done as well? Or do you feel like it was just because of the popularity around Little Detectives that it made sense this time and it already was its own series?
I was going to say, yeah, because this was already a quote-unquote franchise, I feel like that was more of the reason to do another one. There's a couple of films that my dad has done that I'm like, if he shoots Alone, like the movie Alone again in a better aspect, that could have done really, really well. Because that's another one I really, really love and actually gets me emotional at the end.
When the cat opens the door and he stares at the camera at the end, that's my favorite scene. And he realizes he's not alone. Yeah, that's dope.
It's really good. Really, really good.
I mean, I liked the Little Detective series because of you guys. You know what I mean? Because of the kids. But in terms of like,
I mean, that's
that
also
look,
like one of the best parts about the movie is him like as the captain.
His artist won the film.
yeah.
Like the only real time that me and Ethan would ever break or ever laugh is because he's making us laugh as the captain. All of the gag reels, yeah.
Yeah, if you watch the gag reels,
it's all mostly him making us laugh.
So-and-so's breathing down my neck or on my butt. What's the line?
Yeah, the mayor is breathing down my neck.
The mayor's breathing down my neck. Yeah, he says it in every one.
So many different like ways and different like dialogue. It's just all snapping and then it makes us laugh immediately. I don't know.
Because I've never like we never wore shirts and ties at work, but like we would dress up a little bit, you know what I mean? But your dad never acted like that. He never behaved like that at work. You know what I mean? Like he was always super chill and, you know, like reserved and stuff like that. So when I see him as the captain, it's hysterical. Yeah. But like he's intention trying to be funny. When he takes that last sip and looks at the camera in Alone, that's a whole different
completely
situation.
Different.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
That was such a great. I love filming that. We had a lot of ideas for.
Did you do that before COVID?
Yeah. Well, there was.
It's so wild that you would make something like that before the virus put us all in that situation.
That's true. That's very true.
That is true. I wanted it to be. There was a lot more dead body stuff that we were going to do, and I wanted to like learn how to make like special effects for like buildings or burned down in the distance, and we just couldn't really I couldn't make that happen. But it was I thought it was a good film. Yeah. It was a good short. There's a lot of we went all over. We did a lot of abandoned places, in PA. There's a ton of abandoned
before you
buildings and crazy stuff that we went and saw and filmed in. That was
you
cool.
guys. It sounds like you guys create the script regardless of where it's actually going to be filmed, the location, and then you just have to find the right location after the fact. Is that how the process has been so far for you guys?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, for this one. Yeah.
Okay,
that's the worst.
Well,
that actually is the worst part.
I was always curious. You hear a lot where they're like, "I wrote this for so and so," or "This character, I had that lady in mind." But I've never heard anybody say, unless it's something like, what was the Tom Hanks with the soccer ball?
Wilson.
Castaway.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, it needs to be sand at an island somewhere. But like, unless it's location specific, like we're going to rob a bank and stuff like that, like, do you ever really write with a physical location in mind, or you just find the best one later?
In some aspects, there is stuff like that. Like when you're writing like a scene in a park, you're like, oh, well, use that park. Or if you already have something in your house, that's like, oh, it's a living room. Boom, it's right there. But other stuff like with Little Detectives, I feel like there's a thing where now we're in the process of like, we got to find somewhere to film this because it's happening now. So that's really what that is.
Do you let the fact that it's a living, breathing thing and it has to happen soon, you let that be the pressure for you to find the right place?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. He wrote the script, and now our entire agenda for at least the next few days is where it's going to happen. So we have to find, by the way, anybody listening, if you have an office space, we are looking for office spaces.
I might be able to help
for
you.
certain scenes. There's 2 things that we need. 3 things, actually, that we need. We need a lobby that has stairs. We need a office space that, not cubicle office space, but just desks and computers, office space. And we need a room that has a window, sort of like an interrogation room, right? Like a window outside, and then you could see inside with a table, and that's it.
Wait, I thought you're not
There's
trying to do that in the basement anymore.
I don't think that's going to work. So we are building a cell in our basement. And I think that's as far as it's going to go, because the lighting and things aren't going to work for what I think. Again, what Tristan said, we need to make this look more real, and I think that won't be that way. For the cell, it will. I think the cell will work fine.
Dish Best Served Cold definitely takes itself way more serious than the other three, for sure. You could just tell by reading it. Yeah,
no, it does. And I think, again, you don't necessarily need to watch the other ones to get this one, or hopefully not.
No, I think,
I think screenwriting is, we definitely do, the locations have to come after. But for Harvest, for example, like, we built a set, right? We actually were like, we don't have anywhere to do this. Let's build it. And that's the very first time we've ever done anything.
The tunnel that they're crawling through, all that stuff.
Like, we're evolving with that as well. So
my last question before we move into Pop Shots. Do you think this script would have either A, been possible, or B, turned out the way it did if Nerf Wars didn't exist? If that Nerf Wars clip with the gibberish didn't exist, do you think that this film would have been possible, and or the script came out the same?
I feel like the script would have probably came out differently, but I still feel like it would have happened.
Okay.
It would have happened. I think that maybe there wasn't a longing for it. I think Nerf Wars opening was probably the best opening we had in a movie yet. I think I love that scene, and we really worked hard at that scene. And I think it's funny. And I think the fact that that doesn't have anything to go off of is just so incomplete that, it needs to now be completed. So we're going to take a completely different movie. And honestly, even back then, we wrote a script with you in it that we're not doing.
It was different,
It was totally different. This is now going to be Tristan's version of that.
And you two longing for another one is the most important part. That's what's going to make it great, is that you guys wanted this to happen. And potentially no one else knew that it needed to happen. You know what I mean? But that's the point, right?
That was Tristan's script. When Tristan sent me, when he said, "Hey, let me send you the script," I'm like, okay. I'm working on another film right now. We're working on a totally different film right now.
Did you know it was another sequel to Little Detectives?
Yeah.
Oh, you knew.
Okay. Little Detectives, and I'm like, okay. And once I read it, I said, okay, well, yeah. Now that needs to happen. And now it's my obsession. So,
So, Tristan, thank you very much for coming on. We want to thank Big Devil and Lil Devil, as their nicknames are, Chad and Tristan, for coming on, two short filmmakers who we think are going to be very successful and we're going to support throughout their careers.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
They've already been extremely successful and are releasing a fourth film in the series, Lil Detectives, A Dish Best Served Cold.
Yes, sir.
And do you have an anticipated release date for the film?
There is no anticipated release date yet. What I would want to happen is late 25, early 26.
Do you have any type of website or any type of social media geared towards the film?
I mean, it's just my regular Instagram. There's the TGR Studios Instagram account that I have that's all about just my filmmaking process, and TGR_Studios 04 is the handle.
Great. So everybody hear that? We're going to follow our new friend Tristan. Everybody give him a watch, give him a follow. Up and coming short film director who got all of his expertise from acting in his father's short films from the age of six
around there.
Around there. We're very happy to have you on, and we wish you nothing but the best. And we will be watching and following all of your future projects.
Yes, sir. I appreciate. Thank you for having me on.
All right, so really exciting thing here this week on this episode of 40 Years and 40 Beers. We have two guests for this week's section of Pop Shots. Cheers, everybody. So in this week's news, I think being in the podcast world, we have to talk about this. The Club Shay podcast is a pretty big podcast. Shannon Sharp. I'm a big football fan. I've known who he is my whole life. Shannon got himself into a little bit of hot water this week. Apparently,
No, he didn't get himself into hot water.
Whoa. Let me finish.
This pig put him in hot water.
We'll get to that. All right. Shannon got himself into a little bit of hot water. All right. Shannon, at 54 years old, was, having a good time with a 20-year-old OnlyFans model, which there's nothing wrong with that. She's an adult. He's an adult. If I'm 54 and I'm single and some 20-year-old hot thing wants to jump all over me, I'm not saying no, right? But Shannon's got this empire now at ESPN. He's got the empire with the Shea podcast, right? He's probably making more money than he did in football. Am I the only one who's sitting here looking at this whole story and going, we can't keep putting ourselves, well, me, who am I? But Shannon, whoever, Trevor Bauer in baseball, the woman, he's ostracized from baseball, and it's been already found out that the woman wasn't even telling the truth, right? So now you have this woman. I don't know the facts. I'm not saying she isn't telling the truth, but why put yourself?
Well, explain just for the people at home. Explain.
So
what situation he's
the woman, the 20-year-old OnlyFans model. It comes to happen that he had a year relationship with. He has pretty much just a physical relationship. They were never boyfriend, girlfriend, never an item, never together, whatever you want to call it. They were just having sex. All right.
People have sex.
So basically now she's, she's suing him for rape and all of this stuff. She didn't go to the cops because
gold digger. Let's call a spade a spade.
Whenever this happens, none of these women go to the cops, right? They always want to sue you. So my point is
on social fucking media.
And then they release text messages, right, between him and her. And the text message reads, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get it out. I actually memorized it. It says, Shannon, I know what our history is, but no means no. I kept asking you to put a condom on and you wouldn't. And I told you I didn't want it in my ass.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's the text message she released.
That's totally staged.
So it's obviously
months, maybe years later.
Correct. But again, Shannon, I love you. I mean, you had to apologize to Megan Thee Stallion because you said you were going to have her stretched out on the friggin' table. And then you had her on your show and had to apologize to her. You have a habit of just saying shit you shouldn't be saying.
Don't you think we would probably have to apologize to some people if we ever blew up?